Hello everybody, this is Sarahscopic and you're watching Traffic Musings. So today, as in today at the time of filming of this, not the time that this will be uploaded, this will be probably uploaded like 4 weeks later, but that's okay. Today was my last day at my internship. It was a very bittersweet day for me. On the one hand, I'm glad I'm finally done. I get a summer and I don't have to be accountable to anybody and I don't have to make all these stupid drives. On the other hand, I of course means no more traffic musings for the summer, which is why I was stockpiling all of these. And it also means that I won't be at my internship anymore. And, you know, it was a great experience. And to commemorate, I will finally tell you what my internship was. And again, most of you guys already know this. It's just that in case other people who don't know me, or maybe farther down the line, other people watch this and start from the beginning, they can know where I came from. I worked at an elementary school. That's it. I worked with basically between the ages of like 6-ish to 12-ish people, kids. It was an elementary school in an unspecified area, and I was an intern there as a school social worker. Now, the reason that I want to keep it so hush-hush, and this is kind of silly, because in reality, this would have been whatever, but I was honestly kind of worried about some of my kids finding these videos out. I know, sounds silly. Now, obviously right now I don't have to worry about that. I am nowhere near as much as popular and probably never will be, and so I probably shouldn't be an issue. But I just, for my sake and peace of mind, I wanted to wait until after, just in case. And at the very least, that at this point, I will never see them again. And so even if they may know me, it's not like they can contact me or see me, or any work that I did with them would be compromised because they don't have to watch these and see me. So that is why I was on the hush-hush. Now, obviously, if they discovered it, I can't do anything about that. But just in case, like, somebody knew somebody who knew somebody and it could go back to them.
Continue 2 miles.
Thank you, Abby. Gabby. That was all. That was all that I was concerned about. And so that's why I kind of kept a hush-hush. And now you know, I worked at a school. And, oh boy, was it an experience. I was not supposed to be an intern at a school. Let me explain that for a second. You have to understand that, at least at the U of M School of Social Work, if you're a 2-year student, which I am, they say if you are interested in school social work that only 2nd-year students get to intern at a school. I should probably mention that you get 2 internships if you do the 2-year program. So I did an internship this whole year, and then I get summer off, and then next year I do a different internship. I wanted that because I wanted that experience instead of just getting it all done with, which 1-year students can do. So I was not planning on working at a school my first year. I wanted to eventually work at a school. That was the plan. I'm not sure if I'm going to work in a school like for long term. I think it is an opportunity that I may eventually do, but I wanted the experience, definitely, because it's a very, very unique experience. But I didn't expect to work at a school my first year, and so you have to like do all these things where you apply for your top 6 internships you think sound interesting, and then someone works with you and trying to figure out how to get the internship you want. Now, I basically just kind of applied. I'm also trying to apply for things near home so that I wouldn't have to. One second, Anyway, so you're supposed to pick your top 6 choices, and I was kind of trying to pick things close to home because at the time I didn't want to drive a lot. That didn't end up working out, but that's okay. So I had my top 6 choices, and my field advisor contacted me after some time. I didn't get my first choice, so that kind of sucked, but that's fine. And before she went down the line, she contacted me and said, hey, so I know this really good supervisor and who's working at a school, and you did express interest in some point working in a school, even though I didn't expect it in my first year. You have to make this goal statement, I should add, and but when you apply for an internship and your goal statement says, this is what I expect to learn, and it needs to be very specific. Well, my goal statement had nothing about schools because I didn't expect to work at a school. So I had to redo that, and I was a pain in the butt. But anyway, the point is that I had an opportunity to work at the school because they needed, basically the supervisor really needed support and was really hoping for an intern, and my resume got flagged, basically, by this field advisor. Why did it get flagged? To make a long story short, apparently my credentials of my experience in my undergrad really impressed them, I guess. And I was lucky enough to get 2 internships in my undergrad, and pretty substantial internships. As in, like, people, I'm pretty lucky that I got those internships, and the experiences I had, I found out much later, because most people my age do not get those experiences, especially not the undergrad level. Maybe at a master's level, but not the undergrad level. So I was extremely fortunate for that. And so I just happened to have those, and so my field advisor felt that I therefore had some decent and eclectic field experience that would leave me prepared to try to work at a school environment, even if it was my first internship. I think it should also be noted, part of the issue is that a lot of grad students, they may not necessarily have intense internship experience. Getting your master's social work, that may be the first time that they get a true internship experience, and I technically had 2. So I guess they felt that therefore I would be fine. So I ended up at a school. I was not expecting it to. It was one of those, like, it was quite funny, because I knew I wanted to be at a school, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I don't need to be at a school yet. And all of a sudden, nope! You're going! Whether you like it or not. And I loved it. Certainly I had some bad days. I had plenty of bad days. I had plenty of days where I felt like utter crap. I had some days where I was kicking myself in the foot. I had some days where I got so frustrated with whoever I was working. I often didn't get necessarily frustrated with the kids, as in, like, oh my gosh, you were so stupid, but more of a, oh my goodness, why did this have to happen to you? Oh my goodness, why? It was very internalized, which is not good. But there were some moments where I really had to struggle with this internalization of the idea of, these kids were looking to me for guidance. I was running therapy groups and seeing kids weekly on an individual basis. I was seeing over 30 kids a week, especially my second semester. I had around 25 first semester, but I was seeing over 30 my second semester, which is a lot. That's a lot of kids. And it wasn't necessarily overwhelming in that, oh my gosh, I can't deal with it, but it was not, I didn't know what I was doing. I really didn't know what I was doing. All I knew was these kids had this history, and for some of them, I didn't even know what their history was. There were a couple kids that they probably should have been seen earlier by a past intern and were not. So I was the first person they ever saw, and it showed. And so there were some difficult times, because obviously there were times where I felt, wow, I don't know what I'm doing. These kids are looking to me for guidance, and that's really hard, because what am I supposed to say? They tell me certain things, and you have to come up with the best thing you can. And the fact of the matter is, I hate doing this because it sounds like I'm bragging, and I try not to brag, but I have been told that this is a strong skill of mine, so I'm going to say it. Sometimes you just need to empathize with the kid. And for me, that was extremely easy. That was the easy part. And apparently for some, that's not the easy part, which I don't understand. To me, like, meeting the kid at their level, understanding where they're coming from, understanding their frustration, to me, that was the easy part. For me, honestly, the hard part was doing the opposite, trying to make sure they're accountable. I was pretty good at making sure I wasn't enabling kids, because I do have a history. There is a police officer next to me. Please go on ahead, police officer, and don't notice that I'm trying to film something while driving. Yeah, okay. We're okay. As I was saying, what was I even talking about? Talking about kids. What was I saying? But you have to meet with the kid where they're at. For me, because I've had a history of being an enabler for people, which is not a history I'm going to go into, but it's something I had to work on for myself, and I didn't want to do that with these kids. And for some of them, maybe I did too much. Maybe I let them go. Maybe I let them get away with things they shouldn't have. But I don't know. My supervisor, I think, thinks this way, and I think this way. I think it's safer. You should not be in either extreme. You shouldn't be, especially with children. But especially for, like, your first time and you're learning, I think it's better to be kinder, more empathetic, and potentially more enabling than it is to be dismissive and to completely just shut them down. Both of those extremes can be extremely harmful to a kid. You can be too nice to a kid. You absolutely can. You should make sure they take responsibility for their actions. They need to. At the same time, if you can't even understand where they're coming from, or you're not even willing to, then they're not going to listen to you. They just won't. And that's the problem. So it was, I wouldn't say necessarily eye-opening for me. They kept asking, like, all the faculty members kept thinking that I was gonna be like way over my head, and I was like, no, this is exactly what I expected. And it worked out, you know, but I don't know. It was definitely an experience. My main issue with working at a school, my main reservation, is the paperwork. I didn't have to deal with nearly as much of the paperwork as my supervisor did, but there is a lot of paperwork and too much of it, and it's a problem. It's a big problem. I had the easy job. I just saw kids all day and did their progress notes and checked in with them and stuff like that. That was the easy part. But so that's the hard thing for me, is that is my worry, is going into it and having all that paperwork and not knowing what to do. So we'll see what happens. If for some reason one of my kids happens to see this, probably not, then make sure you better be doing good. I believe in you. I believe in all the kids I saw. Every single kid that I met. I never met a single kid that I did not give up on. I never gave up on the kid that I was with. And one second, I'm going to cancel this trip so that Gabby doesn't talk while I say this, because I want to mention one thing that's really important, that is important as a social worker, and I think is extremely important as just human beings. I talk about empathy, empathize, but there's something that's simpler to note about that. One of my professors, well, she was actually more of a student teacher, but someone she did one of my first labs at social work. Yes, we do have labs, and it's about talking to people. I know, hilarious. Anyway, we have one of my first, teachers to do a lab about, social work and such. He said something to us in one of our first, few classes that really resonated with me and had a huge impact on how I dealt with the kids that I did in my internship. And that's this: everyone you meet is trying their best. Now, at face value, some people are going to hate me for saying this, because they're going to think that means that people can get away with anything. Oh, they're trying the best they can. That means they can get away with whatever. And that's the exact opposite, actually. So when you think in the mindset of that everyone is trying their best, that's actually a hopeful statement. Because what's the opposite? That people aren't trying, that people are lazy. But that's dismissive. That shuts down the conversation. It shuts down the way that you can help people. It shuts down how you look at people, because all of a sudden you are saying that, well, they're lazy, they're just not trying, and that's why they're the way they are. They just aren't doing anything, and you give up. It's giving up. You are basically saying that there's nothing else you can do until they try, and that you are giving up the situation. But saying that, when you think of it in the perspective people are trying their best, that opens a different door. What that means is that when you approach someone that is hurting or that may seem lazy, and you think in perspective, well, they're trying their best, there is something going on, they don't know how to manage, and this is the best way that they know how to manage. Well, what that means is that if there is a better way to help them manage that will work, that means they'll do it. And that means that you can encourage them to do it. And that means that there is hope. That means that you're not giving up on them, because you are saying instead that, I know you're trying your best. This is not maybe the best method for you, but you're trying your best. So let's find another way. Let's figure out what we can do. And this was so powerful, because even with kids that I met, that for some people, maybe they thought they were lazy. Maybe they thought they weren't trying hard enough. Maybe they just thought that they just didn't care. But that, in essence, was them trying their best. Because to them, that was the best they could do, was giving up. And it sounds paradoxical, but just work with me. I swear it makes sense. And so if you think of it that way, and if you think of people that way, it changes how you look at people. It changes how you think about how people are living, and you think about how people do the things that they do. And if there's anything that this internship taught me, it's that is so true. That people are doing the best they can with what they have. And we need to respect that. And using that does not mean you enable them. It does not mean that you say, okay, yep, you did the best, you know, or even says that you need to do everything for them. It means that if there is a better method for them, then there is a way to have people to find a way to do it. So this episode went a lot longer than I wanted, and I'm about to get home, so we need to stop it right here. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I hope something amazing happens to you. And without further ado, I hope to see you all in the next episode. Bye-bye! Okay, we're gonna stop.